past, we've known fear, displacement, separation, bomb shelters, surveillance, anger, and hopelessness at endless war. We know the immediate and the generational impacts of militarism and state repression too well.
American bombs and missiles are no less deadly just because the military got a permission slip from Congress before they dropped them on the people. Whether or not Soleimani was a good or bad person is irrelevant to whether or not the United States had the right to commit a war crime.
When the U.S. becomes invested in our thriving, our freedom, or our democracy, it really means sanctions. It really means coups. It means theft of resources, and it means installing powers that are antithetical to democracy. It means the creation of more and more communities like mine. Communities who become collateral damage if and when they survive the clashes between powers that seek to dominate them. No more! Yes. So when I hear Trump speak, one of the first things I think about are the waves of children who will be born cut off from their homelands. Children whose families had to flee war or unrest brought about by foreign intervention, imperialism, and the political instability that these forces create. I think of the Iraqi, Syrian, Palestinian, Afghani, and other friends of mine from Southwest Asian and North African countries who already live in communities like mine. Communities displaced by power-hungry world leaders who are willing to sacrifice brown lives for the advancement of their agendas. No child deserves to grow up cut off from their culture or their homeland. And no child deserves to grow up in a place that calls them the enemy or tells them that they look just like the enemy.
Just in the last 2 months, there have been mass people-led movements in the streets of both Iraq and Iran. Sanctions, war, proxy wars, threats of war, all of this destroys grassroots movements. We need an anti-war movement here in the U.S. that unequivocally opposes the use of economic sanctions on Iran. Sanctions are not an acceptable alternative to war. They are economic warfare. They grind people into poverty. They block access to life-saving medications. They create deadly pollution by forcing Iran to refine gasoline without the necessary equipment, shutting down schools, and create a state of siege that emboldens the Iranian government to crush internal dissent.
We know millions of people are going through what no human being deserves to go through. And there is not a single Iranian that you meet here who doesn't have a mother, a father, an aunt, or an uncle who has been in need of medicine, like insulin or cancer medication, and hasn't been affected.
We are not going back. We are not going back to special registration. We are not going back to surveillance. And we are not going to start a new war. To my Iranian brothers and sisters, ما همه با هم هستیم. We are all together. And let me be clear, این شهر شما هست. This is your city. Today there are millions of Kamals across Iraq and Iran, and they may be asking that question, will there be war today? Let me hear you. Will there be war today? No. Will there be war today? No. Will there be war? No. Thank you.